Hello there. Welcome, shall you be? Weird and shady, that is me. I'ma be honest with you, I have no great ideas for a segue, so I'll just jump into it. Superman 2025. What a great movie, right? Let's start from the beginning, and real personal. I have always had a special connection with Superman. Ever since I was a little wee babe, I have loved Superman. I think, in fact, that one of my earliest memories is from when my mom used to go beyond all reason to get her hands on superhero-related media just for my entertainment. We're talking video games, Blu-rays, DVDs, and such. Even with a low budget for quality of life in general. At certain times, she rented or bought some of those cassette tapes with compilations of certain story arcs from the Superman the Animated Series. And although they were in Swedish, I very much enjoyed them. As a potential autistic kid, undiagnosed, but something is clearly going on. I had almost no role models that could inspire or guide me, since no one knew who I really was. As in, no one really saw me for me. Neighbors and family members often saw me as an awkward and silent kid. My stepmother even thought of me as gay, just because I was different. Well, some parts in Norway they can be quite conservative, so I don't really know. Little did she know, I was only autistic.
Ha, gotcha.
You have got me. I'm trying to work that through in my head. Yeah, it took a while.
But anyway, me not having someone to relate to, that kind of made me search for guidance and whatnot in superheroes and other fictional characters. And lucky me, Superman was one of those superheroes. An alien among people. An outsider that's different from all the other kids. Mostly alone and afraid of what will become of him.
Clark, come out of there.
Leave me alone.
Clark, I have called your mother.
Superman was always there for me, along with many other superheroes. I even had my trusted Superman cap on me at all times. I remember that I used to put it on my hand, outside of the car window, and used it as a cape. All of a sudden, it flew away with the wind and everything. So my step-grandfather and my grandmother had to turn around the car just to get it. As a child, I was often left to my own devices, whether it being pencils for drawing, video games for brain exercise, or movies and TV for general enjoyment. My poor mother did the best she could, raising two very different boys. One that seemed like Spock on a never-ending social event, and the other one like Dominic Toretto trying to park inside of a living room during a family reunion. I don't wish to take any of my mother's hardships away from her, because I absolutely believe that she did what she could. But naturally, realistically, for me, it ended up like I didn't really feel worthy of love or respect, or even empathy, with her using much of her time with my brother that needed it very much. So it's quite understandable. But of course, not only my mother had little understanding, pretty much no one took the time to check if I in fact had autism, if I recall correctly. A problem I have had for such a long time in my life is that I hated looking at pictures of myself as a child. This has been going on for years, always so begrudgingly uninterested in it for all the wrong reasons. I thoroughly despised the kid that was presented in front of me as I dug past the photo albums of myself, because I didn't recognize the kid I was seeing. I know what you must think. It does sound very dramatic of me for saying just that, but nevertheless, as I mentioned, it has been a problem of mine for a very long time. To be fair, I don't remember much from my childhood, except much of the bad stuff, like I suspect many of you people out here on the interwebs do as well. This is most likely because I have taken too much distance from dear old baby Shady, as I mentioned earlier. It started about when I was a teenager. I was fat, socially awkward, and overly quiet for most people's taste. So when I started to lose weight, somewhat managed to speak to people, and started playing the guitar on stage, I resented who I used to be. I have always been told in some form or the other that being the way I was as a child was wrong, so I started masking more and more. I was pushed into changing into someone I wasn't necessarily comfortable becoming. I also realized that people didn't think Superman was cool anymore, so that fit perfectly. So naturally, when he went out of fashion, in a sense, so did my connection to Superman as well. At the same time as I more and more left the old ways of being myself. Superman, like Captain America, often gets dismissed as a boring Boy Scout. People would much more prefer heroes like Batman, who's dark and morally complex, or Spider-Man, who struggles to pay rent and therefore feels more relatable. But for me, that's exactly what makes Superman and Captain America so compelling. Steve Rogers, for example, has always been my favorite Avenger. Not because he's flashy, but because he stands for something. Kindness, optimism, compassion. He's a man out of time who refuses to compromise who he is. And that's exactly what people misunderstand about Superman too. His strength isn't just powers, it's his humanity and his refusal to give up on people. With a hero like Captain America, I believe that people can learn to let loose, to stand tall and be themselves a little more. Like a man out of time, or in my case, a boy out of context. With the way I was running around doing jokes. I mean, it's not easy figuring out humor when those damn autistic traits keep kicking in.
I'm ready to go in, coach. Just give me a chance. I'm gonna execute a button hook pattern super slow-mo.
The way I see it is that Captain America isn't a boring character in the slightest. He just appeared to shine in a different way than both Batman and Spider-Man does themselves. Not necessarily everyone understands the character, and that's all fine and dandy. And the same goes for Superman as a character. Many of the same things that Captain America stands for, Superman does as well. You just gotta know where to look. With a character like Superman, he can easily be overlooked as an interesting character because his powers are the main glance for most people. It's Clark Kent's humanity, though, that truly makes him who he is. It's Kent's morals that he learned from his adopted parents that has formed him into taking responsibility for what he can and will do. Spider-Man lives through his phrase, "With great power comes great responsibility." But I would even say that Superman stands for that in a bigger capacity than Spider-Man ever did. Simply because he has more power, thus has more responsibility. Not just because it's a good phrase, and not only because he has all these powers, it is his eagerness to help people despite the negativity he has to indulge. Despite his loneliness and isolation because the world doesn't really understand him. And he doesn't want people to feel it themselves, if he can help it. Superman sees the beauty of life and opportunities that can rise against all the bad stuff. And I find that admirable, because being different can be a strength.
Piece of shit.
Alien!
That is where you've always been wrong about me, Lex. I'm as human as anyone.
You're goddamn right.
I love, I get scared. I wake up every morning and despite not knowing what to do, I put one foot in front of the other and I try to make the best choices I can. I screw up all the time, but that is being human, and that's my greatest strength.
The only problem is that the last time we had gotten a fairly good Superman movie, before Superman 2025, was back in the 1980s. Long before my own coming-of-age era had ever started, as I imagine most of yours as well. Captain America has been lucky to get fairly modern movies that still capture the attention of moviegoers, but Superman hasn't really been that lucky. In 2006, we got Superman Returns, which sadly was the first Superman movie in almost 20 years, and yet didn't do Superman any favors with his image. Because let's be honest, movies has a lot of say as to what gets attention through the media. Just look at Iron Man, for example. Before RDJ and the MCU, Iron Man was a C-list superhero. Now he's on top of every chart, atop of the food chain if you must. Or look at Guardians of the Galaxy. No one knew who they were before the movie came out. Furthermore, in 2013, Man of Steel came out with its dark and gritty vibe that it adopted from the Dark Knight trilogy, like so many did around this time. And to be honest, I liked that movie. Even though it wasn't as hopeful and comic accurate as I would like it to be, Man of Steel made me feel for Superman again after a long hiatus where I didn't do as much. Half the world at the time didn't see it the same way, so saying it out loud that I, in fact, loved this movie, that finally showed Superman as someone more than a boring force of good or a somewhat creepy stalker, wasn't the highest of my priorities at the time. To be fair, Man of Steel absolutely has its flaws, but it was a big step towards the right direction.
Hey, that's pretty good.
Superman 2025, on the other hand, is the perfect Superman movie made to this date, in my humble opinion. This movie managed to make me feel so many things I hadn't done in such a long time. It reminded me that such a huge amount of joy could be felt for such a good-hearted character that I used to adore. I mean, all the relatable mannerisms Clark has throughout the movie is somewhat I've not seen in a version of Superman in a long time. He has so much personality, only with the way he says things. He is almost too naive at times, because his compassion and wish to do good doesn't let him see the nuance in certain actions and choices he has made. Also common with the autistic people, by the way, but not important, really. I like that Superman's portrayed as weaker, but still not weak, in this story. He's not some overly serious, or moody, or stalkery, or too much of a goody-two-shoes kind of hero, as he's portrayed as before. In Superman 2025, he gets beaten down, has moments where he doubts himself, and gets back up despite it all. He's just a guy that wants to do good, even though not everyone does it the same way he does it, or even thinks the way he does. For God's sake, he doesn't even swear, because he possibly feels like unnecessary use of profanity is beneath him. My interpretation, of course.
What the hey, dude? Good gosh. Darn it, I can be such a jerk sometimes.
I feel that watching Superman 2025 was like winding the clock back to the time when my mother used to rent those old cassette tapes of the Superman the Animated Series, and reminding me of a time when life was simpler, when the world didn't feel as big and dangerous as it certainly does now, as an adult that barely knows how to function from time to time. Okay, so I'm not saying that Superman is autistic in any shape or form, only that I personally relate to Superman in some ways, like many autistic people can do as well. Like the fact that he is alienated, stands in a challenging place in the world. He can be seen as very different from the rest of the world, but if I wanted to make a video about a superhero that can be seen with clear and legit autistic traits, I would gush over Drax the Destroyer from the Guardians of the Galaxy movies.
His people are completely literal. Metaphors are gonna go over his head.
Nothing goes over my head. My reflexes are too fast. I would catch it.
To sum it up so ever so neatly, Superman 2025 doesn't as much inspire me to become a better person. Instead, the movie helped me find myself again. That I could feel like a little kid again and learn to accept that kid from those pictures that no one understood, sitting all by his lonesome with his beloved Superman cap, minding his own business because the world outside was too scary, too judgmental, too much. The kid that I judged too much. Superman 2025 made me accept myself as a person that doesn't need to change myself to fit into the world through as much masking or simply hiding. It's okay if people don't always understand me, because now, in my life, I have found people that accept me for who I am and my autistic roots. It should be noted that even though I admire Captain America and his willingness to be hopeful and kind, it has always been Superman himself that I have related to the most. He is awkward, unsure of himself, and even uncertain of where he belongs in the world, just like I did as a kid. Superman has shown me that it's okay to not have everything worked out just yet. All we have to do is to be our true self. Most importantly, for me and my journey through adulthood, Superman made me understand that I don't have to be ashamed of who I am. As an outsider, to do things differently than others. And I adore that the world has now embraced the fact that people can be kind, hopeful, optimistic, and to show compassion because
maybe that's the real punk rock.
you know, it's nice to go with a more personal go at it in a video again, but I gotta say that it's really hard being this vulnerable. So thank you so very much for watching, and thank you for giving me and my channel a chance. That's all I had for today. Farewell for now.